Hi. Okay, so right now, today, I want to show and tell you a little bit more about this baby right here, the Sony MZ-1, which happens to be the world's first mini-disc device ever. There was nothing before the MZ-1. And Sony invented the mini-disc in 1991. The MZ-1, was released in the year 1992. And I want to tell you some little infos about this thing. And I also want to tell you why, even knowing if it was the first mini-disc device ever, it is still one of the best and most useful mini-disc devices for every mini-disc fan out there. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I know it is ridiculous that Sony used to call this thing a mini-disc Walkman. Because seriously, look at the size of this thing compared to my hand. This is really crazy. For example, this is the size of regular mini-disc Walkman, and as you can see, it's just insane. Let's do it like this. So this is just insane. But thanks to the size, they were able to put some features in this thing that later mini-disc Walkmans didn't have, and which are really good. Basically, I really can say that it was the first mini-disc device, and they almost did everything right that they could. So it was the first mini-disc device, but it wasn't only a mini-disc player, but also a mini-disc recorder. So you were already able to record your discs on this thing, which is really good. As I said in one of my other videos, the industry wants to rip you off by making you pay twice for the same technology, by always releasing just the players first and then a couple of years later the recorders. So your player becomes obsolete and you have to buy the recorders. So basically, I really have to say it is your own fault if you still don't have a Blu-ray recorder right now because you bought the player. So if everybody would decide, I don't want to buy a player, I'm waiting until the recorder hits the market, they were not making any money with the players, so they don't have any reason to hold the recorders back. So I also think if nobody would buy the players, they would release the recorders way faster. But that's a different story. If you bought the MZ-1, it came with a nice leather bag, so you could carry it around, which is really good. Another thing is, this thing doesn't have a mono recording function. So as you know, you can record discs in mono quality to get twice as much music on one disc, but only in mono. This thing doesn't have a mono recording function, but Minidisc is all about being future-proof, which means that it is able to play mono recorded discs. So really cool. Another thing which is cool is that those buttons down here with the numbers and the letters, which helps to title your tracks and your discs, which is really cool, because other mini-disc devices, it always was the same thing. You had to scroll through the alphabet until you got to the letter you wanted and then scroll again. But then NetMD came and HiMD, where you had the ability to plug in your mini-disc recorders with a USB cable to your computer, and you could type in the titles with your keyboard. But this was the first mini-disc device, and those buttons make it a lot easier than this whole scrolling thing, because that was really a pain in the ass. But another important information, it only has big letters and numbers, no signs and no small letters. But again, future-proof, if you have a disc which uses small letters or signs, it is able to show those small letters and signs, which is really cool, because I have a car radio with mini discs, and if I put in a disc with some signs, it doesn't show the signs. it just shows a blank spot where the sign should be. So again, the first one is already better than anything else that came after it. Another thing which is cool is that it's the only portable Minidisc device which has a big lit up display, which is really cool. And as you can see, it shows the titles of the tracks. And also signs. And the name of, wait a second, the name of the disc. So another thing which is really cool is that it has a disc loading mechanism. So the disc slides in and pops out automatically, which is really cool. It's also one of the only portable Minidisc devices that has this function. I know there are some Sharp Minidisc devices who have this function, but again, this is the first one. Okay, so now we get to the main reason why this is one of the most useful Minidisc devices for every Minidisc fan out there. Because besides of some DECs or some professional Minidisc devices, this is the cheapest and one of the only Minidisc devices on the market which doesn't only has an optical digital line in, but also an optical digital line out, which is really rare and really useful. So basically you can now digitally copy one disc to another disc, which is really cool. But one thing that sucks is the copy protection, which means that if you have a disc that you recorded yourself and one of your friends says, hey, I really like the songs on this disc, could you copy this disc on one of mine discs? You make a copy which works perfectly, but now the copy is copy protected, which means that you can't copy the copy again because there is some copy protection bit or something. So that kind of sucks, but you know, that's the way it is. So, by the way, this is what pre-recorded Minidiscs look like. So compared to other recordable Minidiscs, and on the back here you have the titles. So this is what pre-recorded Minidiscs look like. Okay, so I hope this video has been informative and I could help you to decide to buy one of those MZ-1s. The prices vary a little bit. I got mine for $53 on eBay. So I think it was a good price. So leave a comment if you like this video. I hope you like it. And later on in one of my later videos, I want to make a review of this. Bye.